El Paso and the Rio Grande Valley, Quanell, are staring down the barrel of the proposed lifting or the mandated lifting of the Title 42 restriction that prevented illegal entrants from remaining in America while they pushed their asylum claim. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, delayed that lifting, but there is still so much concern about the incredible numbers of people coming across the border and entering unlawfully that our governor, Abbott, has reached out to the president and said, hey, we're about to have a significant freeze here in the state of Texas. It creates dangerous conditions for illegal entrants, and he doesn't feel like it is Texas's responsibility financially to take care and house those people and prevent them from freezing to death. I think it's an incredibly callous position. I do think that the state of Texas should do everything it can to prevent people from dying here. It's Christmas, we should, but we also need to secure the border and facilitate more lawful immigration while not allowing the narco-terrorists to profiteer off human trafficking, which is what they have moved into instead of crystallized methamphetamine and fentanyl. I think it's a nuanced issue, but I would hate to see the state of Texas ignore illegal entrants that could be dying in the next few days.
Charles, the Biden administration, as well as the administration he was a part of, the Obama administration, the Bush administration, not so much the Trump administration, they did not want to do really anything about the immigration problem in America.
Nobody does.
What they're doing is passing the buck, and they're pointing the fingers at each other and everybody else but themselves. Charles, you and I both know if we can put satellites into space, if we have satellites that can tell you the color of a penny on the ground hundreds of thousands of miles away, you and I both know that we could do something about the immigration problem. The elephant in the room, Charles, is that the current administration in power in America hopes and prays that those coming across the border will see that the political party in power welcomed them and did not punish them, and will send a message to others that you're not punished when you come in. So remember the party that opened the door for you. Remember the party that paved the way for you and didn't punish you for doing something illegally. And then what happens is...
So what's your position, Quinn?
So what they're doing is they're hoping that they join a party, in particular the Democratic Party now, and they become Democratic voters in the future. That's what this is about. That's why Biden has no problem petitioning the United States Supreme Court saying, do not extend Title 42, let it end. If he felt that it was a threat to the current political party that he's the leader of, he'd have did something about it, man. The bottom line is it's poli-tricks. This immigration problem is nothing more than poli-tricks and smoke and mirrors, because nobody wants to really address the problem.
What's your position on immigration?
Look, if we had the resources to take everybody in and give them a better life, then okay, let's do that. But we have too many millions of people in America born here that we cannot provide for them. Look at the number of people who have still no health care. Look at the number of kids that are still starving in this country. Look at the number of kids who are born here who are still living under the poverty level. We're already stretched so thin with the resources that we do have because we're wasting too many resources. But California, Charles, is a fine example of an open border mindset and what happens with that. And that's why California for the last decade has been teetering on the tier of bankruptcy. We can't do for everybody else what we're failing first to do for ourselves. Spiritually speaking, should we help them? Yes, we should help them. Spiritually speaking, should we do more to assist them if we can? Yes. But why no administration is punishing the countries they're fleeing? Why are we not putting sanctions on Ecuador, El Salvador, Panama? Why are we not putting sanctions on Mexico to not deal with the border problems themselves? Why is it we allow these countries to just push all of their people that want to leave, go ahead and leave and just go across the border? They make it easy for them to cross the American border in those attempts. Why the American government is not punishing the countries they come from like we punish Cuba with those sanctions?
I'm always amazed at your ability to regurgitate both conservative and liberal dishonest talking points in the same narrative instead of talking about the truth. Initially, California, lots of problems out there. There's no economic liberty. There's a reason why many hardworking middle class and upper middle class citizens of that state are fleeing to Texas and Florida, but they're not teetering on bankruptcy. In fact, California creates an economic surplus, and they're sending more to the federal government. They're doing great out there.
No, because of the loss of drinking water, California is teetering on the brink of bankruptcy because of the loss of drinking water. Yes.
Listen to your nonsense, and now I'm trying to rejoin her. First of all, what's amazing about San Diego is California loves to preach about Texas and take these strident positions about Texas shouldn't have a border wall. There is absolutely a border wall that separates California from Mexico. No one seems to want to talk about that. I disagree when you talk purely about Biden and Obama. Clearly, they want an open border because the globalists want an open border to create the market participants who will take low-paying jobs and buy stuff, and the people that suffer in America are the lower income and middle-class people whose public school systems and public health systems are absolutely overwhelmed in South Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, and nobody cares, right? We also have the issue of crime. Immigrants are as or more law-abiding than the average citizen if you look at the data. But, however, now what we have are these narco-terrorists who are trafficking people in. They're generating hundreds of millions of dollars a month in human trafficking, and that is just creating more unsafety in the southern portions of this country and in Mexico, and it's a bad idea. We need immigrants, we need immigration, but we need to have vetted immigrants, we need to have lawful immigrants, and we need to prioritize who we're bringing into this country based on who is making legitimate asylum.
But why do we want that workforce?
Legitimate asylum claims, as opposed to having the narco-terrorists pick who comes in this country by having.
But that's not the root of the immigration problem.
But the Republicans act like they care because they want to scare people about
corporate
jobs
America.
But
corporate
the Republicans
America.
had all the power and they didn't fix crap.
Corporate
Why?
America
Because
wants
the
the
lords
immigration
of the
problem.
Republican Party want the near slave labor of immigrant labor. The Democrats don't want to fix it. The Republicans don't want to fix it.
Now you said it.
Quanell doesn't want to fix it.
No.
I'd actually like to fix things and build a better America.
Wants the immigration problem to be what it is.
Y'all notice I don't interrupt him.
I agree with you in that sense, the slave labor workforce.
You should agree with me. I'm always right.
And what they want to do is let them come in and give them slave wages so the American corporate entity can compete with China, can compete with India, and compete with other nations where they have that slave labor workforce. That's why companies like Nike and others don't make their products here. They make them in countries that have that slave labor workforce. They're trying to replace the regular working class man and woman in America and paying them a decent living wage by bringing in immigrants who can't speak up for themselves, who can't fight for themselves, and exploit them with slave labor. So let's tell the truth. The rich are the ones who are really shaping America's border policy because they're the ones who want the immigration problem to be exactly what it is. And Biden is only bowing down to what's in the best interest of his party, and who determines that party? Corporate dollars as well as Republicans too.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, both in America and Western Europe, that clearly the oligarchs are defining policy, right? But it's interesting to me to hear Quanell X actually regurgitate the whole white replacement theory that is pushed by so many racists as his own theory. We are not, as a country, threatened by multiculturalism. What threatens us is sending all this money to narco-terrorists and not having control of who comes into this country, right? It is far easier. There are people from the Caribbean that instead of petitioning for a visa and coming here lawfully, they will travel to Mexico and then try to come in this country unlawfully. And it's creating this huge breakdown, right? And then when we have our governor and the governor of Florida send just a few thousand people to some northeastern cities that robustly and aggressively want an open border. And I mean, just earlier in this week, you were talking about the stolen land of America and how
That's a fact.
Right? Okay.
That's a fact.
If you look out through human history, we all began in Pangaea, and we've all spread across the globe. And throughout human history, people have taken land from other people and other types, other
that made it
groups
right?
of people. No, but right now you reduce it purely to skin color.
That's
you
not true.
apparently reduce it to
That's not true.
ethnicity
That's not
instead
true.
of talking, and you advocate
We're talking about
for
America.
robbing. No, what you do is you hate white people, right?
No,
Whereas
no,
me,
no.
what I would love to have in America is a controlled but fluid border that allows people a better, because there's no way. It's so complicated, it's almost impossible unless you're rich and you have a lawyer to lawfully immigrate under the system that the Republicans want. But the Democrats just want everybody to come in. Instead, maybe we should have a rule on.
Okay. Ignominious comment about me hating white people.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's get something correct here.
I'm sorry.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that hate is too consuming. Okay. That hate consumes the hater.
You don't like white people,
as well as the
and you think they have everything they have is stolen.
Hate consumes the hater
as
well as the hated.
Okay.
I cannot hate any human being for God ordaining what color they're born into this world.
Okay.
What I am taught to hate and what I do hate is the teaching and the theology and the philosophy that says you are better because of your skin color, of white supremacy's teaching. That's what I hate. But I don't hate a human being no matter what their color is.
Hold on.
But at the end of the day, Charles, we have to be honest here, man. America, our policy, and you kind of said it earlier, our policy is not being shaped by the American people because the American people statistically want a real solution to the border problem. That's been proven.
Right.
Well, why is it the American people for the last 15 years have statistically shown that they want a real solution to the border problem, but we're not getting one?
Well, we're not getting one because both parties are incentivized not to have one.
There you go.
The Republican Party under Trump have fear-mongered about the alleged evils of immigrants that actually doesn't exist, and to scaremonger, but they don't want to fix it because the corporate and the oligarchs and the globalists want all this market participants and labor.
That's slave
the Democrats absolutely don't want to fix the problem because the Democrats in control, not regular Democrats or Republican citizens. I'm talking about the power structures, those that run each party. They don't want to fix it because they think it facilitates long-term goals. But you say you don't hate white people, and let's remove the word hate. Just 2 weeks ago, the beauty of the internet, you were making the argument that all white people should suffer today for the sins of their father. You referred to the Bible, and you said that white people should accept being discriminated against, accept having their property taken from them, expect to be treated as less than because of. That's exactly what you said. Because of our skin color. What we need in America, again, you're interrupting me. What we need in America is a system that's free of discrimination, where we don't discriminate against anyone based on their skin color, their ethnicity. No, you said
suffered in a manner like no other in this country.
Okay.
And all white people in America have to understand, you might not have participated, and you did not participate in the degradation and dehumanization of black people. But if you benefited to any degree, medically, politically, physically, economically, then you have to be a part currently of the solution the solution of helping to repair the damage that your forefathers and foremothers did.
So why can't we?
Because remember, if you inherit stolen land, and you benefit from that stolen land, when you recognize that it was stolen illegally and murders took place to attain that stolen land, well, then you cannot tell the ancestors or the children of those victims of that crime that once we recognize the wrong, we'll do nothing for you. We'll continue benefiting from what our parents stole from yours, but we know it's wrong, but we'll do nothing to help you. It can't be that way. That's not justice. And I don't want to see no current white person punished in a way that is not just. But I'm going to be honest with you, Charles. If we want to make America better, all of us, black and white, are going to have to make some extreme sacrifices, man, to correct the wrongs in this nation. The root of black people's problems in America are not white people, man. The root of our problem is the same problem that's the root of white people's problems. Ignorance and disobedience to God's will. That's affected all of us, and that's why we are where we are. You talking about I hate white people. What's wrong with you?
Am I going to be able to respond? Because just in this little diatribe, you talked about how white people don't need to suffer unjustly, but you're saying they need to suffer. At the end of the day, we can find solutions for all Americans, but you're not interested in solutions for all Americans. In fact, you're not interested in solutions for anybody but yourself, while framing it as a solution for people that share your ethnic identity. But we don't have to do that, right? We don't have to build an America where we separate people by skin color and race anymore. In fact, we should be trying to fix it. We should be trying to create more opportunity. The truth isn't a truth when you talk about, well, when you inherited land and you inherited, the truth is there are more in aggregate numbers, there are more white people in poverty than any other race because there are more white people. You don't talk about that. You talk about white people as if they're all upper middle class. I am not finished. You talk about white people as they're all upper middle class, all wealthy. But the truth is there's a larger number per capita of African Americans in poverty than white Americans, but there is a much larger number of white Americans in poverty. There are plenty of white Americans who've never inherited anything, who never had any benefit, who grew up in poverty and are struggling just like everybody else. But our current system says, you know what, you can get to the back of the line, right? And that is, if you look in San Francisco and California right now, you have social welfare programs that are designed only for specific types of people based on their skin color. And that is just as evil as any type. What we need is a post-racial world that says, hey, these are the problems. These are the economic, I'm not done. These are the economic legacies of Jim Crow. These are the economic legacies of slavery. How do we fix them for those people that are suffering for them? But let's fix them for everyone. No,
you fix it by giving justice.
You use vague terms, right? But at the end of the day, you were talking about how, hey, whitey's got to give stuff up to fix problems, while the greedy are feeding at the trough and making themselves richer. Why don't we look to the billionaires? Why don't we look to the politicians instead of dividing people by white and black? Because that's how you make a living. You make a living dividing people by race, and it's despicable.
The bottom line is, man, look, we cannot move forward with this quote-unquote utopia post-racial society without giving black people justice.
I get it. You can't get rich with unity. What are you afraid of unity?
What you're afraid of
because if unity happens, Quanell can't make more money, right?
See, you can't make personal attacks on me.
Oh, I can.
And think you'll get away with it.
It's absolutely true.
Here's the deal, dude.
I have been advocating to end the
Your
war on drugs.
Attacks on me ain't gonna work, man.
Okay.
Because too many black people, by the millions, understand that we do deserve reparations. That's your fear. You don't want reparations paid to black people.
Where did I say that? You said on this show that you don't want cash reparations for African Americans.
No.
Okay, so what are you talking about?
But you don't want us to have reparations.
What are you talking about?
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that black people should be paid reparations?
Well, you just said you didn't.
I asked you a question. That's not what I said. I don't believe in cash payments to individuals. Do you believe that black people should be paid reparations?
Are you going to let me answer?
Yes.
Absolutely. We need an America.
And how much should y'all pay?
See, that's why.
And how much should y'all pay?
You have to enter y'all.
That's right.
Y'all, you mean white folks?
Because you're going to pay too.
Okay.
If America pays reparations, you paying some too.
You see how he likes to ask questions, not let anybody answer.
How much would y'all owe us?
That's what liars do. When y'all say y'all, you're talking to white people because you want a paradigm, Quanell.
If we get reparations,
you have made your entire life on ripping communities apart.
The white man did that.
Okay.
He brought us here on segregated slave ships.
Let me know when I can answer the question.
He put us in America and segregated America.
Let me know.
Don't blame the victim for the crime of the perpetrators. We didn't separate America. Racist-minded white people separated America. And the public school system in America today is more separated today than what it was the time of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Look at the numbers. So don't tell me I'm separating America. American white flight is real. The more we go into a community and into an area, into their schools, white people flee. That's a fact. That ain't me separating America. That is the modern mindset of this nation that keeps us separated. My question is, how much should America pay?
Okay. Again, your question before you went on that diatribe, the wealthy man who lives in suburbia talking about white flight.
Look at it. This man always want to point to me.
Well, because you're lying.
He's wealthy.
Because you're lying.
Where he lives.
Because you're lying.
What he drives.
Okay.
The fine
Let me know when I can talk.
Will you leave me the hell alone?
No, because you're sitting up here lying.
And focus on the issue of the people, man.
Well, I would try if you'd let me talk. If you talk about reparations, what you want to do is talk about whitey needs to give things to you, right?
No,
whereas
not
instead, what we need to talk about is how America, right, you don't believe in reparations. What we need to talk about is how America fixes the economic legacies of slavery and Jim Crow. And when you say schools are more segregated now than the time of Martin Luther King, that's you lying,
That's
right?
true.
No, it's not true. It's just like from your mansion in suburbia talking about white flight when you engage in the same flight from criminality that everyone does that has the economic ability to give their children a safer, better life. And it has nothing to do with race. You make it about race because that's how you make a living.
So white flight's not
I'm
real?
not done
So white
talking.
flight's not real?
I'm not done
So
talking.
white flight's not
what
real?
we need to do in this
Stop it,
country,
Charles.
I'm talking about your
That's a
flight.
proven fact.
You have to reduce
White
everything
flight
to
is
race.
real, Charles.
Because what we need to do is we need to have safer, better schools in impoverished inner city communities.
We
need
agree.
to have free junior college, not just for black people, but for all people, so poor people can ascend.
Well, now,
right?
I agree and
But
disagree on that.
Again,
I agree and disagree on that.
Keep interrupting
I
me.
believe education, all the way through the college graduate level, should be free in America. I don't believe that we should have to pay these crazy, exorbitant fees that these young people are graduating after 4 years with debt that many of them will never pay back. That's a crime in itself. I think that we should not have our children graduating from college in 4 and 6 years, God forbid 8 years and 10, and they come out with debt that takes them 40 years to pay back. That's a greater crime right there, no matter what your race is.
You know, Quanell, someone that worked full time and borrowed money and paid it all back, I absolutely agree that we should have more accessible educational opportunities in America. But again, what you're trying to do, as you've done your whole life, is divide this between black and white. And my argument is we need solutions for all Americans, and those solutions for all Americans that live in the inner city. Now, a majority of them are African American, and that's where you fix the solution. That is what a reparation is, where you tell law-abiding citizens, people that want to ascend, we are going to give you more hope and more opportunity. Instead of just using hope as a little political talking point, we need to fix things. But you're not interested in fixing things, Quanell. You're interested in tearing apart this country. That's why you use
Charles,
terms. That's why you use terms like white flight when you live in a mansion in the suburbs and you did the same damn thing.
I'm gonna say this.
I live in the inner city.
I'm gonna say this in the end, Charles.
Yeah.
You've never been to my home. But anyway, let me be clear.
I know where you live,
you think
and
you
I
do.
know you're lying.
You think you know where I
Hey,
live.
man, if you want to lie to our
Because-
audience, that's fine.
Let's be straight. You think you know where I live. I may have more than one mansion.
Okay,
But let me be crystal clear.
Okay, so
Let me be crystal clear about something
Quanell,
with you.
white flight X.
Charles, let me say this to you. You're not going to fix the inner city problems on any level, brother, without a strategic plan of action
That's what I said.
coming from the government of America and
What I
its
said.
leaders.
We agree.
No,
Wonderful.
Let me finish. Of putting more fathers
Let
back
me
in the
fin-
home.
You've been interrupting me for 20
If
minutes.
we don't put more fathers back in the single-parent households of the inner cities, this ain't gonna change, brother. We need more, I'm gonna stay straight up, we need more black fathers able to stay in those homes, and those who are not there, we need to find ways to help get them back in them homes, because Charles,
I love it when you sound like a white racist.
No,
we need more
no.
fathers of
We
all
need
races
more
back
black-
and forth.
You said inner city. Inner city is primarily black people.
We need
And we need more
all
black
fathers
fathers
participating.
in those
Hispanics, Latin, indigenous, white,
Charles,
Asian,
you don't
brown,
have as many
black.
You don't have any Asian fathers leaving their homes and Hispanic fathers leaving their homes like black fathers have been doing for decades now. And the welfare was behind all of that. But I'm telling you, we can curb a lot of these problems if we had a campaign and a real movement in America to put fathers back in the home.
And this is interesting that we started off with immigration and we got here. But you're right. We need to encourage more two-parent participating households.
Well,
or
hell,
at
you
least
just said
two-parent.
the other week a woman don't even need a man.
No, I said that a woman should be able to be independent. Obviously.
Well, you can shut down now. You've been talking too much.
Oh, you've been talking too much. You're done lying for the day.